What's going on, guys? So today we're going to do a little work on the rocket. Unfortunately, it's time for the rocket to go. It's been a great bike, loved riding it, been a lot of fun, no issues whatsoever, but it's time for a change. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through taking off some of the custom ads that I did to it, since we didn't have videos of me putting the ads in. We're going to remove the seat, put the stock seat back on. We're going to take off the bags on the side and the mounts. We're going to put the backrest back on. I'm going to put the stock exhaust back onto it and get her all ready for the next adventure. So hope this is useful, hope it's helpful. Haven't seen a lot of videos and stuff I'm going to do, so we're going to try to get that going and kind of show how to work on a rocket for a little bit. So let me get turned around, we'll get set up. See you in a minute. All right, so we got a little different view here. Coming down to this side, we'll be working initially first on the seat, and then we'll go down and take a look at the pipes, and then we'll work towards the back and do that. But just to kind of give you an idea, the rocket comes with a fob, and it also has a pretty cool little button on there that frees up the key. So you can see, you just take it like this, pop that up, and it gives you a nice little key there. The other thing it does is it has a selection here for when you turn the bike on. Turn it on like that, press and hold this key fob and it turns it on, so you can turn it off or on, so it doesn't wear down the battery. We don't need it on because we're not going to do anything with starting the motor, so we're going to turn that off. But to pull the seat off, it's got a locking mechanism that's right here. So you just put your key in there, turn it, and lift the back seat off. And this is my custom Corbin seat that I had made for this rocket. It's pretty cool. I've already taken off the chrome trim that came with the stock seat, because I had that. You take it off your stock seat and you put it on here. And I've already taken that off. It comes with screws and stuff like that. But Corbin USA, so if you have a rocket or you want to check out their stuff, they've got great products. They do a good job. So we lift that off, put that over here out of the way, and then we'll grab the stock seat. See there? This is the chrome piece I was talking about here that you take off. You just take these screws off here along both sides. These come off and you put it on the new Corbin seat. And then in here, you've got this little door that has a USB connection inside of it and a little storage compartment. I put my registration stuff in there because I normally don't run with the bags. But you put that little guy in there. Your batteries access right there, real easy to get to. And you just take the seat like any other seat, slide it up underneath the edge of the tank, get it lined up, push it and rock it, and then it snaps down on there like that. Pull your key out and your seat is secure. Not going anywhere, not gonna have any issues, no one can take it. Got the little grab bar in the stock one. So, all right, so now we'll take a look at working on the exhaust, and we'll spin around to that side and work on putting the stock exhaust back on and get my works pipes off of there. All right, back in a second. Okay, now we got the bike up. Nice working area right here in front of us. Always recommend that if you can, possibly. If you get a lift, it's awesome. You can kind of see I like to have all my tools laid out and everything as best I can. I'm sure I'll probably have to grab something here or there, but for the most part, you've got 12 millimeter wrenches, you got a 5 millimeter hex bit for the heat shield, some extensions, a couple 12 millimeter sockets and stuff like that. And just to give you an idea of what came off of this bike, this is the original exhaust that came in. It's about 30 pounds of weight on the bike, and that's what we're going to be putting back on with the essential heat shields and everything else. So, and works when you buy the pipes, they come with some cool directions, and it gives you steps of what to do, and then gives you a parts breakdown and circles it, so you know kind of what the area you're focusing on. But that's about really it. I would have liked to have the number breakdown of what these things are that they circled, but that's okay. So I kept these when I did my install just about 3 years ago. So pretty cool to have those, hang on to those if you do that. But to get started, the first thing we're gonna do is use this 5mm hex bolt to get the initial heat shield off. And there's your heat shield. Make sure you hang on to the bolt. You're gonna need that again. Here you can see where you got your clamp to hold pressure on that, to hold the exhaust pipe on. And you've got this nut clamp right here that we have to take off to put back on this piece right here. And then you've got this secondary one here that when you buy the pipes, they come separate. So you have to put those on first and then get it loose, get the pipe mounted, get this one in, then put that one on and do all that stuff. I don't have to take that off now because I'm just pulling these off as a set. And then your O2 sensor is right back here. So you'll want to get that out once you drop that down. So first thing I'm going to do is pop out this little nut clamp so I can use that on the other one. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that right back on here, just so where it needs to be for the heat shield. That's going to go on. All right, so you'll have this one go over here, and then you'll have the brass one go on the front there. So that's easy. And then we're going to go work on taking this side off and loosening that bolt up. This nut is a 10mm, so I have these ratcheting wrenches that I like to use. They work really good. So take that off. This has to come all the way out because it clamps around that seal right there. So force that out a little bit. So it's away like that. Now you can see the lip where it goes on. And then we'll have this piece go on when we put the other pipe on, right there like that. Then we need to disconnect, there's a bolt right here. Need to disconnect this bolt here, which mounts it to the frame. That is a 12mm. I'm gonna put an extension on it just to get me away from the bike. There's a nut on the back. Comes out like that. There's a little bushing thing on it. There's your nut. And then generally this has the rubber flange in the back. Pull out and show you like this. These are all over this bike for dampening for vibration. So once you get that out, now you can start rocking the pipe off. And you can see the pipe is loose. I'm gonna take this off. So there's your clamp out. And then we're going to take this O2 sensor out. That's a 17mm. There's your O2 sensor. And now the works pipe is off. So there's your internal gasket. And so you want to make sure you get a new one from the Triumph dealer. You may have to order it, take a little bit to get in, so you can put a new gasket back inside of this when you put it on. Or when you put these on, you want to make sure you have a gasket so that it works like that going in, same thing, but just on that pipe, okay? So the works pipes are off, O2 sensor's disconnected. You've got 3 connection points on this piece here. You've got one here that we just took off, right? That's got this piece that goes on the back, and then the nut and the bolt. So that'll attach there. Then there's a center mount here that I'll show a picture of so you can see it on both sides, and another mount on the lower left side of the bike down there that this other side mounts. Again, this thing is like 30 pounds, so it's kind of heavy. It's going to be interesting to see how we get it in with me doing it by myself. So I have grip tape on my lift. I'm putting a towel down here so I can set this on it and manipulate it so I don't scratch the underside up. Screw in your O2 sensor. Start by twisting it back a little bit to give it some spin room with the wire so that it doesn't tighten it kinked up when you get it on. Then you're going to have to lift and support this thing while you get it started. There we go. So now we got the O2 sensor connected. Now we got to try to manipulate this thing and get it up and get it started in there while also hitting the mount points. So this is going to be tricky. Remember I said I got the bushings, so we're going to get those ready to go. You've got this that goes in there. This goes on one side in the center. This goes on the other side in the center. And then the bolt goes through. And then there's a nut that goes on the back of this one. So these are the center bushings for the center mount. You've got a bushing with a washer with a little thing on it on both sides. So looks like that keeps it center. One goes on one side, one goes on the other side. This bolt goes through on this side, and there's a nut plate mounted to the center of the catalytic converter and the exhaust system that'll screw into. So I'm gonna put the flanges inside right now. Okay, well, it took a little finagling. Figured you didn't want to see me do it on a camera, but I basically used my floor jack that came with my lift, put it underneath this thing, lifted it up and got everything aligned. And then I started this bolt and the bolt on the other side, and then just kind of mashed everything together to get it all to hold using the jack to hold it in place. Once I got it ready to go, then using the jack to lift it up helped me line that center hole, which is very hard to get to in the center. So there, but now what we do is we've got everything mounted back in. We've got the flange back on, and we're going to take the 10 millimeter and start tightening this back up so that it gets a good clamp down on there. And just angle it down a little bit out of the way. Okay, now you got your mount on there so it's nice and tight. Make sure you don't lose these little rubber guards. They like to fly off when you're working because they do vibration suppression when you get these heat shields on. And the next thing I'm gonna do is just make sure my O2 sensor wire isn't all kinked up. So I'm just gonna pull down on that a little bit, make sure it's good. So now that we got that tightened down, now we can start tightening up these bolts. So on the other side, we're gonna go over and tighten up those 12 millimeter bolts to get this exhaust kind of strapped in. So like I mentioned before, way back in here is that one bolt. It's very hard to get to. So we've got it in there. We're gonna go ahead and tighten that down. And then we're gonna tighten up this one. Good and snug. No moving. And then lastly, we'll tighten up this one over here. Also has a nut on the back of it. Okay. So now everything's tightened up good. Exhaust is not moving. So this one slides right here. And bolts like that. So that's your inner heat shield. And then we go and we put on our fancy smancy outer heat shield, which will sit right over here and cover it up like that. And that one is the bolt that we hung on to from last time. And there's your decorative heat shield. And the stock pipes are back on. And then now what we'll do is we'll turn it on and see if we got any leaks. So if you remember with the key fob, you turn the button switch over on the left side, and then you press and hold this to where you get the green light. That shows that you're ready to go and it's synced up. It's proximity, so it's got to be close. Opening my garage just to get a little air in here, but once it's close, you get that on there and you turn the key on. Everything fires up, and you have, for the Triumphs, you have to hold the clutch in when you start it. So this is going to be interesting with it up on the rack. Okay, everything checked out good. So sounds nice, exhaust coming out both sides. No leaks anywhere that I can see. Everything seems real good. Nice and secure. So stock exhaust back on. So we're gonna work on taking these off. and then putting the stock backrest back on. So I'll get turned around, be back in a minute. All right, so now that we got the stock exhaust back on, now we're gonna move up and work on these bag mounts for the panniers that come with Triumph that you can buy for an additional item. They're roughly, I don't know, probably about $1,000 with the bags and the mounts to put them on there. And then you gotta take your seat off. You gotta take these blanks out that I purchased that came off the Roadster. So the nice thing about the Triumph rockets is you can interchange 2020 and above. You can interchange parts from them. You can forward controls on the Roadsters. You can put the bags on it. You can change out and add these on there. You can do all kinds of different things. Bars, they're pretty flexible, so you can get kind of tuned in on what you want for each independent bike. So what we're gonna put back on is the stock backrest that came with it. So it's just got this little, it's pretty minimalistic. It's just got this little backrest that adjusts down, up and down like that. It's not real high. These bolts go up underneath here. So we'll take this off and show you how that goes. So let me get the camera turned around and I'll get a better view of what I'm working on so you can see it, and then we'll get started. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so now we got the camera flipped around, a little closer view. Hopefully this will work. I'll take a picture of the bolt holes that are underneath here and show up here. I'll post that right here. And then you can see we got to take those out, which are 12mm bolts. And then that'll pull off these on each side. And then you just use your key like before and pop the seat up. So you can pop that up and get that off. And now this exposes these hex head bolts right here, which are 5mm for these inserts that I put in. Again, these were off the Rocket Roadster. They don't come with the GT, but I put them on when I took the backrest off because I didn't want to have these holes right here. So these come off right here and here with that 5mm bolt. So we'll take that off. And then once you get those bolts out, these just kind of slide in on the bottom. When you get them, there's these mounts on here that have these little tabs, and you just screw those in with small little things, and they catch on these lips right here that slide over there, and that covers the bolts for both the fender kit that I have and then also for where the backrest is going to go on there as well. So take your covers off. And now that exposes those. I'll get a picture of those so you can see what those look like. So now we'll take the bolts out, the 12mm for these bag mounts. Once you start getting it loose, just hang on to it so it doesn't drop and damage your bike. Same thing, same little bolt. And then this is what it looks like when it's taken out. So this just goes up underneath and then that drops down. Okay, so now we're going to drop the fender bolt on this side. This side's already vacant. This side will be the fender bolt. These bolts are 13mm, and you're going to need 2 ratchets because one needs a deep socket for the bolt and the other needs to come up through the bottom. There's a nylon nut that I put on for that. Drop that bolt out. And I have a washer in there. Okay, now that we got those out, now you just take the old backrest, take the screws out, and it slides right in and fits right in that slot, just like that. And then you run up the bolts for the backrest up behind it. Okay, once you get those in, now you can see the backrest is mounted, just up and down. And then we just put those little screws back in here. Okay, and there you have it. Now the rider's backrest is back on. At that point, then we just run through, clean all the dirt and junk off of it from sitting in the garage or having the mounts on. And then you pop your seat back on, just like that. And that's what it looks like with the stock backrest. Pretty easy altogether, easy to customize, pretty functional, be able to do all those different things. Again, fenders on there for a nice custom look for that. And pretty much the bike is about ready back to stock like I had it before. So there you go. We've got stock seat back on, stock trim back on, stock exhaust back on. We're leaving the fender on it because I don't want to put the farm equipment back on the back end. And should I get a different bike, we'll figure out what to do at that point. We've got the stock backrest back on. Everything's nice and tight, looks good. Now we'll just clean the bike and get it cleaned up all nice and pretty for its next owner. So it's been a great bike. Love this bike, lots of fun, lots of power. So if you were ever wondering whether or not a Rocket 3 GT or a Rocket 3 Roadster is a bike to get, go take a look at my videos and just see how it rides and runs, and man, it's just an amazing machine. So that's about it. So hopefully this video is helpful, and for those that have a Rocket or are thinking about getting one and want to do some upgrades, these are pretty easy things to do. There's not much in the market for Rockets as far as, you know, upgrades you can do yourself. Haven't done bars or anything on it yet, but no need to. And hopefully it was a good help. So like, subscribe, any comments or feedback, really appreciate it. And sad to see her go, but it's time to move on. All right, take care, be good humans. Don't forget, cool new shirts and stuff to go, more designs coming. And if you want to get something, please do. Appreciate the support, and see you guys on the next one. All right, take care.